What's up, fam? I'm back. Back on. I don't think I should have any glitches tonight. Man, thanks for everybody that was patient enough to come back. I did have that I was going to be on Instagram, something weird on the Instagram site, which is probably me. So I'm not even going to worry about it. But I'm on Facebook, YouTube Live right now. Let me look at my Facebook. Let me turn this down. Just going to jump through my microphone. Last night I was on. My wife warned me, but I thought it wasn't me. I thought it was everybody else that was having an issue. But evidently it was myself and something I had going on in here. But now my mic's on, audio should be crystal clear. I think the crackling was actually my iPhone next to my microphone. I would put it in airplane mode, but I'm streaming and I want to see from my phone. But I guess I could probably bring up my other laptop screen. So while I'm waiting for people to jump on, I'll go look at my Facebook page. I can look at that and see how far behind I am. Meanwhile, guys, stick with me and we're gonna get started. I'm gonna cover what I talked about last night about businesses and things like that on Facebook, because people are having issues with starting their business. And tonight I'm going to make sure that everybody can hear me pretty clear. Okay, sounds clear. I just turned on my mic so I can go back to where I want to be. Actually, I don't want to be there. I'm going to cue myself in, and what we're going to do is I got some people on. Cool, man. I'll wait. Hey, if you're on here, if you got a business, Selah, what's up? Evening, bro. All is well, man. Thanks so much. All wasn't well last night when I tried to stream. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, appreciate you, man, for jumping on. Got some good information I'm going to share with everybody. And this isn't just for studio people. This is business. I have a couple of companies, my wife and I just want to give you some eye-opening advice, some mistakes that I made along the way. We'll give you some heads up about that, be open and honest about some things that I didn't think about till later. And I'm going to give you some tax info, a little bit of that. I talked about some of the tax things before, but I really want you to get a grasp on tonight. If you have a business, if you're thinking about starting a business, I'm going to go back through last night because I pulled that video down. It was like not clipping, it was just distorted because I didn't have my right mic line from some patching I did a week ago. And I hadn't been online for a minute. But anyway, I'll give you some tips about starting your business, some things to do, some research to do, some wise counsel, not just from me, maybe other people that do what you do, other successful business people. And I had 3 successful business people right in this area in Flint that helped me. Number one was Mario Daniels, who's passed away now. But he really gave me and my wife good focus on what we needed to do, tax-wise and things like that. You know, sad that he got in trouble later in his career with finances, you know, but I watched him leave General Motors. I've been knowing him since I was a kid. Mario's like 6 years older than me, maybe 7. And I just watched him be successful because he was a quarterback in Northern High School and he played football, I forgot it, one of the schools on the west side of state. Starting quarterback there, I believe, and then graduated, worked for GM as an accountant, and then left GM and started his own business, taxes, bookkeeping, things like that. Very successful guy. till things kind of went the wrong way. And then my wife, I watched her do a come up. Sincerely, when I met her, I think my wife may have had 4 or 5 clients when we started dating, up until, this very successful company that she's ran for years, So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to show you a sheet. I got a spreadsheet that I'm going to see if I can open it. You guys stay with me. You're looking at me, but I'm going to see if I can open this spreadsheet that I emailed myself while we're on here. It's a PDF that I just sent myself. So let me see if I can open that, because I'm going to it's an example of something. And if you guys are interested in it, I can direct email that to you, or put it in, message me through Facebook or something. I can send it to you. But what I'm going to do is see if I could get this up. And since I can't, what am I going to do? And I don't want to put this thing on the internet because it's going to mess up my streaming, I think, if I connect. Give me a second. I'm going to do it. If I go off, you guys let me know. And then I will, because I got a bunch of computers hooked up, man. I'm streaming everywhere. So let me just go in and do this right quick. And I'm going to bring up this, I'm going to bring up a spreadsheet that will give you some breakdowns. And then on the other sheet, I do have some things I talked about last night. So let me get this up. I'm going to turn on the network for my computer right quick, this computer. And let's do that. Then I could download, once I download it, I'm going to disconnect this one from the internet because I don't want to use any more streaming. So let me get off here. Let me watch my connection. All right. And if I go here and I make it active, make service active. And if you just just bear with me, I'll get this on, and then I'll get the spreadsheet. I'll bring that up after I walk you through some things that I want to talk about with business, and things to look for and things not to do, like I did. And some of the things I didn't have some counsel on when I got into it. Okay. Some of the construction things I know bar none. And we'll get there with that. So now let me go, since I'm up on the internet, let me see if I can get this file right quick. Let me go here, see if it shows up. Might be able to download it right quick. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Let's go. Sent. I sent it from here. There it is. So I'm gonna try to download this PDF. Download. All right. And I will. This is gonna be great. Okay. I'll minimize this. I can pull it up. Now let me get off. You know what? I saved it too. Let me make sure I saved it. Just bear with me just 1 second. Make sure I save this file because I want to open it up and leave it open. There it is. Let's go. Date modified revenue expense. Okay, there it is right there. Cool. All right. So I'm going to get this computer off the internet. All right. We'll close Chrome. Shut the internet off because I don't want it using bandwidth while I'm working. There's something I learned from a computer tech. Sometimes if you have a bunch of things streaming at the same time, you're going to lose some bandwidth. Because I got 10 cameras, man, and each one uses bandwidth and a computer. So 2 computers, actually 3. All right, so let me switch you guys to my aux page. There we go. Now, the thing I was talking about, I'm going to cue myself in so you see me in the bottom right corner. And what I'm going to tell you is, as you see this sheet, it says things to consider before starting your business. And these are things to consider if you're in business too. All right. Consider everything that I'm going to give you right now. All right. So last night, as I began talking about it, I shared a couple things. And one was, if you're getting ready to start a business, first thing you need to know, what need are you trying to meet for your clients? And who do you think your clients are? Who should your clients be? For if this is a product or service you're offering. And this is what I talked about last night. So then, are you an expert in the area, or do you need counsel? So if you're doing something, you have a product or a service, have you been doing this all your life and you become an expert at it and you believe you can monetize it and people will pay you for this product or service that you want to bring to the public? Okay? So 2 things. If there's a need, and people that are very successful in business have met a need. Let's take cell phones. Cell phones weren't a need, but now they have become a need because nobody has a landline, and you are instantly connected now to the World Wide Web and to communicate with people via your phone. So phones to me right now are a necessity to communicate. Whether you're talking to a biller, family members for safety, security, or whatever, you need a phone, some type of communication device that can, communicate across the United States and even out of the country if you have to. Anyway, 3rd thing is business name. So if you believe you're an expert, you think you have an audience or consumers that would like to buy what you have, and you believe you're an expert at it, and if you're not, do not try to sell your stuff right now. Go get counsel from somebody that's doing what you want to do, or somebody's doing something similar, or somebody's that's definitely been more than successful at doing what you want to do, okay? Whether they've had some bouts with, maybe they had to start over. That's fine too. But make sure that you're solid on what you want to do and understand how to do it before you go try to get people to pay you for it. And you're going to even get better along the way. You're going to get faster with some things. You'll probably get to the point where you can offer more services or more products. But do not jump out here and try to sell somebody something you're not prepared for. Okay? That's why people go to barber college. They go to cosmetology school. I went through apprenticeship. Now, when I was on my apprenticeship for a year, you think I'm going to be able to come and plumb your house and do all that kind of stuff with 1 year of apprenticeship experience? And say if I had never had a bunch of construction experience before I went on my apprenticeship, but if I hadn't had any and I landed that job, no. I mean, hey, could you come in and put a new tub in my house? And I've seen all of that kind of stuff in construction. And I'm going to get to construction stuff as we're talking about business. But meanwhile, become an expert. Then you can offer your product and service to consumers that will pay you for it. Business name. A business name, that could be something personal. You can use your own name. I can't tell you what to make your business. You can use something catchy, a catchphrase. And a lot of people have come up with some really good catchphrases of a business or an acronym that means something. It may spell something, but it may mean something. So you want to get that. And then your business structure, which these you probably need counsel from more than just me talking to you about it. LLC, Limited Liability Corporation, which is what I have for my recording studio, my publishing company, my guitar studio, which is kind of on hiatus right now, my record company, and then my recording studio. I think I said recording studio, but anyway, I got 5. And so, the G-Man Group, I didn't make the G-Man Group an LLC yet. So anyway, you could do that, and in the LLC, you can have a partner, or you don't have to have a partner. So that would be, if it's just you, you can have a single partner LLC, which legally I've read things where in a single partner LLC, it could be if you got into a legal thing where you were getting sued, they could somehow attach that to your personal stuff, and they're talking about putting it in a trust, things like that. You have to talk to, a business attorney or accountant that knows a little bit more than me about that. S Corp, which is what the Beauty Image is. And my wife, because Beauty Image generated a lot of income. Beauty Image paid salaries to the owners. At one time we had a partner. Now it's just me and my wife. I'm on as a vice president. She's like CEO president. And so I talked about this last night, that if you guys didn't know, if you're a female, if you get a corporation, LLC, or whatever, female automatically gives you minority status. If you're a female and you're non-white, you get minority, and you get another minority for being a person of color. Okay, so and that's a benefit to your company. Well, it was up until 2025. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going to happen with some of the products that were offered to disadvantaged people. And I'm saying disadvantaged because, I didn't come up through money that could help support me starting my own business. I had a job that helped me start my business. Me and my wife had jobs that helped us start the salon. We took that money that we made and saved and invested in starting the salon, invested in starting the studio. The guitar studio, there was no, only thing I had to buy for a guitar studio was like a big whiteboard. I didn't have any hardware that I had to purchase. The record company, I didn't have any hardware I had to purchase. I used the same computer. Just some software things and things like that, and paper. So those were services I offered. And sometimes in services, which I'll get to, you don't have to have hardware except a computer, maybe a printer, things like that, or if you do some of the things I'm going to get into. So, okay, the LLC, S Corp, or a C Corp, which would be like, I would like, because I'm in came out of the auto industry, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. They're C Corps. Larger corporations, they have multiple employees, they offer all kinds of benefits, 401k. You can do the same thing in an S Corp. And the tax structure in those, you need to talk to an attorney or a tax attorney or a tax accountant, because there's things that people don't understand that I'll get to when we talk about the money when I bring this page up that I'm going to talk about toward the end. I'm going to be on there for a little bit. So if you got to jump in and jump out, I understand. But if you're seriously thinking about getting in business, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you some tips that are going to help you. And hopefully these are as we go on. So after you get your business structure set, you can do the LLC online through the Michigan.gov, the LARA. I forgot what LARA, LARAA. You can get your business name, and you can do that like in a day. You send it, you can check, see if anybody has your business name. If that's cleared, go register your business. I think it's $150. You got a business as your LLC. You got to put your partners, what structure, what the type of business. You'll see the form, and I'll bring that up on another day, probably for Michigan people, so I can walk you through how to do that too. So you do that. Then after you do that, you see you want to get your EIN number, which is an employee identification number, which is like the social security number for your business. That's what you're going to take to the bank and get a bank account. You don't have to have a building. Do all of this. I'm just giving you a heads up. It's going to help you. Do all of this before, even if you haven't made a dime, but you're expert and you're planning on getting your business launched, before you spend any money on computers, extra software, or anything, extra hardware, get this done first. Get this EIN number, employee identification number. Then you're going to use that to get your bank account, a business bank account for your LLC or S Corp. And then if you got money you're going to put in it, or if you get loans you're going to put in it, do all that. If you got some funding you're going to try to get, that all that money will go in your EIN number bank account. Especially if it gets, electronic transfer or something, they're going to write a check, write it out there. Okay. Next thing I got on there, your business bank account is a must. So now you got all that done, and location. And this is, and I'm saying you're in business, but now you're going to start looking for a location. So now you're in business and you're traveling, using your vehicle, you're spending gas money, you're going to keep track of all this mileage because now you're looking to find this location. All of these things you're starting out. Let's start being a business person at the beginning. So you're traveling over, having meetings with people, maybe taking people to lunch or dinner and all of that to meet with them about a location they have that you like or you're interested in. And it may be a few. And I would tell you, look at more than one. Look at a couple and do some comparisons. All right. And if you're good at using a spreadsheet, build something in Excel, compare your expenses and all that. Now let's get with it. So if you're purchasing a building, you got to look at that building, make sure it has handicap accessibility. If it doesn't, make sure you know somebody that's in construction that can do the construction for you to make it handicap accessible, which is having a ramp to get in, a ramp to get out, doors wide enough so people can get in. Usually commercial doors are 42 inches. 36 inches is a standard wide door, like on a home or something, or even a business. But 42-inch door is a commercial size door. And I think it's 6'8" opening. Some commercial doors might even be 7 foot, a little bit taller. Okay. So make sure it's handicap accessible if you're getting a location that is not your home. Okay. Leasing a building. All right. When you lease a building, now when you purchase a building, all the things fall upon you. All the things I'm going to get into coming up after I'm talking about leasing. Because you purchase the building, you got to pay the mortgage. If you don't pay cash for it, you got to pay the taxes, property taxes, summer and winter taxes, landscaping, snow removal, damage, everything to that building is your responsibility. This is why I like leasing with businesses, and we were consulted to lease. And what big companies do, they buy a building and then lease it back to this other company. They buy a building under such corporation, then lease it to some LLC that they own also. That's all legal. Okay? So leasing a building. If you find a building that you want to lease, you got to make sure of a couple things that I'm going to walk you through in the next. Now, let's talk about it now. Because I talked about, down here where it says safe, non-slip flooring. So if you're going to lease a building, let's jump down there before I go to capital investment. Leasing a building, this is what you got to be looking for. Especially if you're going to be doing something like a salon. Does it have like non-slip flooring? If it's raining, people come inside, or if it's a place like salons, sometimes they have high humidity, even with the air running in your shampoo area, things like that. Does it have non-slip flooring where nobody will slip and fall? If it doesn't, then that needs to be something you put on your construction list. You know, getting your flooring done, redone, or whatever you got to do. Adequate electrical power. All right. When we had our salon, I'm going to give you, this is something Randy did not know. Each hair dryer, and if you're on there, even a hair dryer, ladies, and back in the day in black salons, some people still do it. They use curling irons, the old school ones, where they had to be heated up. Those things pull 10 amps. So if you're male or female, whoever you are, every piece of equipment you put in your studio, your business, you're going to look at the specifics or the specs of that product, whether it's a hair dryer, whether it's a washing machine, a dryer, a fan. You're going to look at, this is things you purchased that aren't in the building yet, okay? You're going to look at the voltage of it, which most of it will be 120, unless you're putting in a electric stove or something powerful like that. And you're going to look at the amperage and you're going to make a chart. You're going to write down, okay, this hair dryer or blow dryer, or the dryers, the commercial dryers were like in a salon, those pull like 9.8 amps. So you can round that off to 10. Then say if you have 10 of those, that means you got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 amps, all right, drawn by these things. And if you go to your circuit board, your circuit breaker box, you're going to look at your circuit breakers and see what the circuit breakers are rated for. Most of them in buildings you're going to have a bunch of 15 amp circuits. That's fine for one dryer. But if you put another dryer on there, you're going to be at like almost 20 amps. You know, you're at 18, 19.6 amps, and your breaker's going to kick out once the dryer starts heating up. So you're going to have electrical problem. I did that. We had all these dryers all over, salons running. We're excited. My wife's excited. And the partner we had at the time, everybody's excited. I'm back to work. Because I was actually, when we did our salon, I was on family leave because my oldest daughter, Lauren, was born. And I worked on that salon. And I think I worked on that. I was off for 4 weeks. I built that salon in like 2.5 weeks, the building. And I hired John Nelson, a good friend of mine. And who else? Fred Ross, my brother. No, Fred wasn't. That was later when we did the expansion. And then Bernard Jackson helped me do all the plumbing. You know, I did all electrical work. And then together with the plumbing, we worked together and got a bunch of things done. So that happened, right? Then I had to end up going in and adding all these 20 amp circuits and putting bigger breakers and running bigger wire. Because you can't run a 20 amps on 15 amp 14-1 wire. You got to step your wire up, okay? I got to step my wire up. I had to go number 12 wire to run for 20 amp circuits. And I ran all these 20 amp circuits, and each 20 amp circuit, I had 2 dryers on it, all right? And we didn't have any more kickouts like that. Next, make sure your building has adequate water pressure. If you need water pressure, if you're going to start a car wash, you got to have a lot of water pressure. And if you want to keep your water warm, you're going to need a big commercial water heater. I'm telling you, don't try to go buy a water heater, just a regular standard water heater from Home Depot, from, what else is around here? Now, all we got now is Home Depot. And then the place up in Saginaw Bias, I can't even think of, they don't have it here anymore. Or either Gilroy. You're going to need a commercial water heater, something that's going to give you the water flow you need, okay? I did that. We had a 40-gallon water heater. You know, nothing's in the building but us. We had a bathroom. And, yes, my wife called me. My wife didn't call me. Workers would call, hey, water's getting cold. So I went out to Sears when they were still open here, and I bought a 75-gallon residential. Like, oh, man, this is going to do the trick. Turn it up. They said it's not getting cold enough. I go turn it all the way up, not getting hot enough. Turned it all the way up, and we had 6 operators at the time and a nail tech before we did the big expansion. When we had 16 people. But at the time we had 6 people in a nail tech, and they're running out of water. So I'm like, oh my gosh, and I went and consulted. Now I'm a journeyman, but I wasn't doing home plumbing. I'm doing industrial grade plumbing. We had gigantic 200-gallon water heaters and steam water, and they were ran by steam. And I understood those. I thought that 75-gallon would be cool. It would be cool for a nice size home, 4 or 5 bedroom home or so. So then I talked to my master plumber friend of mine that worked with me, Norm Young. Plus that brother, he's deceased now, but Norm said, Randy, I was told him, he said, man, they're using that much water. He said, you're going to have to go commercial. So now that residential one, I think I paid, back in the day, we paid like maybe 400 something for it. The commercial one back in 1990 was $1,500. $1,500, had to run a big old 6-inch stack through the roof. Thank God there was a vent already there from a furnace that used to be there. So I did all that, got that in. John Nelson helped me install that like on New Year's Eve or something. Anyway, adequate heating and cooling is another thing you got to make sure. If you don't know, pay an HVAC guy to give you an estimate, and they're going to ask you how many people you think are going to be in here at the same time on average, because they're going to take body temperature in account, all the equipment you have in account, especially if you're doing a salon or anything's going to generate heat, a restaurant especially. You got to have a lot of cooling BTUs, okay? And so BTUs, I figured, I think, is it 600, is it 12,000 BTU equals 1 ton? Yes, 12,000 BTU, and that's like every 600 square foot, if I'm not mistaken. And I can get that number and get that to you. So, but get an HVAC person to consult you with that. So you make sure the building's got enough cooling. And I think the building we went into, it was a 5-ton unit, but it had 3 suites. But the guy that had the print shop, the sign shop, Dan Craney, on the end, it was still, they had enough cooling over there. But we had to turn it all the way down to get cooling in our salon and keep it cool. All right? And that was tough too, at times when they were full and things like that. When we did the expansion, I went and consulted with an HVAC friend of mine who worked for his uncle and did a lot of commercial stuff. So he came over to the salon with me and did an estimate. He said, Randy, I told him how many people. Now we're going from basically, I think, 8 workers to 16 total. He said, man, you're going to need another 5 ton of air conditioning. So that means we had 10 ton of AC in that building. So I added 2.5 ton units. And the estimate I got, though, was $13,000. That was in 1995. We did this big expansion. So 1995. When we added all this other area to the salon. And that was going to be $13,000. I did it myself for $3,700. The units, the install, hired my brother-in-law to fabricate some ductwork for me. I ran the power, all electrical stuff. Me and my brother-in-law did the ductwork, And then I ran flex ducts, had to cut things in the ceiling and all of that. Ran the thermostats and all of it. That stuff's still in that building when we used to be in there to this day. Adequate lighting. Whatever you're doing, if you're doing something, you got to see accurately. If you have a restaurant, there's a lot of stuff because you're going to have all kinds of inspections with the restaurant. Any commercial business that you're buying a building, you're going to have inspections. All that costs money. I didn't have that in a spreadsheet I'm going to bring up either. I should have showed you that. The other thing, restroom facilities. You're going in a commercial building. If you're leasing it, this is where you can get hit. Now this, if it's not handicap accessible, you can negotiate this if you're leasing the building with the owner to say, hey, you don't have any handicap accessibility. We have a couple people that are in wheelchairs. They come to our salon. We need to have a wider bathroom door or handicap accessible bathroom. And that, if you're leasing the space, I would negotiate that. If you own it, you're gonna have to put it in. You get an inspection, you're gonna have to put that in there, okay? Restroom conditions, make sure everything's functional. You take toilet paper, or you check a toilet, you pull a long 5 foot of toilet paper, just pull it, hold it up, flush the toilet, and just release it. If it pulls all that toilet paper in there, goes down the drain without stopping getting plugged up, you're probably gonna be good, okay? And I seriously take a piece about 4 or 5 foot long, rip it, put it over to it, get it down in there, just one length, flush it, and then let it go, see if it pulls it all the way down. You'll probably be good. Here's another thing. If you lease a building, you got to ask, they have a thing called triple net, where you might have to pay for landscaping and your rent, your landscaping, and your snow removal, okay? Because you're already going to have the power and all that. The energy is going to be yours. You're going to have to pay that. So landscaping, if you own a building, all that stuff is your responsibility. Who's going to do your landscaping? How much is it going to cost? Who's going to do your snow removal? How much is that going to cost? And then if you need building repairs, how much is that going to cost? Or your construction to get your building ready for what you want to do. Those are important. Other thing is janitorial services. Are you going to clean this building up yourself? Or are you going to hire service to come in and do your cleaning if you're only open 5 days a week or whatever? Who's going to do your deep cleaning for you? If you're cleaning up during the week, if you have a restaurant, that means you're going to have like a grease trap, a lot of things on the plumbing side that you're going to have to do to keep it sanitary, separate commercial kitchen set up. You got a lot of things that you're going to have to be concerned about getting done. Now, another thing, and you're going to do all of this investigation before you go out and sign a lease or do a mortgage. You want to understand what your costs are going to be. Personal injury insurance, which is going to be like liability if you get hurt or somebody gets hurt in your business. If you're leasing the building, then you still need insurance for if somebody gets hurt in your business or something in your business falls on somebody, hurts them, or somebody falls in the business you run because of something you had. Now, if something in the building, person opens a door that you didn't install and the door handle comes off, something crazy, and just hypothetically, glass falls out, hurts somebody, or something stupid happens, then that's going to be on the building owner. And you need to ask them, do they have adequate liability insurance for you working there on the building itself? If the building catches fire, that insurance is going to cover your equipment for the building. It won't, and it'll cover any construction you had done, but it's not going to cover that building itself because that's owned by a landlord if you're leasing or a company. But if you own it, you got to have all the insurance. Unemployment insurance. You're going to take payroll. That'll be a big thing you get into taxes. Make sure you pay unemployment tax, because if you don't, you're going to have trouble. If you don't take care of your tax situation and paying your taxes yearly or especially quarterly if you're making a lot of money, you're going to have a problem when something like a COVID happens and you're unemployed. Or your building catches fire and you're unemployed. You're really unemployed even if you're leasing a building and you and your staff go unemployed. You got people working for you, paying you rent to work there, like in a booth running a salon thing. Basically, they're unemployed. So they're got to pay, you're paying booth rent every week. They can't pay you. You're not getting paid. So everybody needs to have some unemployment for things like that because you're unemployed. Just like construction people, they don't work during the wintertime. They go on unemployment. All right. Property damage insurance is part of your liability. Theft coverage, which is be part of that. And having like security measures. All right. Who's going to do your bookkeeping? Yourself? Or you're going to hire an accountant? That could be a monthly expense for an accountant if you don't do it yourself. My motto is nobody should know more about your money than you. So even if you get an accountant, you need to understand your money. You need to know where it's going. So have your own spreadsheet where you're keeping track of your money. I'm telling you now, I've been there, been audited twice. None of it was our fault. It was a CPA we had, got in some trouble. But I have everything. I had to throw away stuff. I had taxes from 19. When we got audited in 2000, I had tax records all the way back to 1984, still in banker's boxes. So you only have to keep 3 years, But I took all that stuff to the IRS. They thought I was crazy, but they ended up showing me some things that had got overlooked by some people. So anyway, that's a couple things. So with that, I can make this available. If you DM me, I'm not just gonna put it and go to my website and download it. I'll send it to you. You DM me through my Facebook DM, or you message me through YouTube because I'm on YouTube. My Instagram, man, it didn't stream. I don't know. Said it was, but it didn't show up. So anyway, now let me open this. This is, if you see this is an estimate, all right? So hopefully you're on here. Whoever you are, you can take a screenshot of this. Let me get the whole, this is everything. I just built this, maybe an hour and a half ago to show estimated cost on whatever. I don't know what this business may be. All these are estimated costs. This is what you need to do to plan before you start your business, because you got to look at what your ROI, your return on investment, is going to be, and how long it's going to take you to really start making money because you're new. And if you don't already have a clientele because you've been working from home, which I skipped a part. If you work from home, some of these things are going to be different for your expenses, okay? So let's go in here now. So you went and you've been looking at a building, and I want to walk you through. Please hang in there and get this. Even if you watch this later, share it with somebody. You're gonna you found a building you really like, and you're gonna have a rent or a mortgage. It's $1,200 a month. You ain't hardly finding too many commercial spaces for $1,200. I'm just gonna be honest, man, because that stuff is way, way up. I'm just using this number hypothetically. We were at a place where we had totaled of 2,500 square foot for $1,200 a month. That's no joke. But that was a long time ago, okay? And then we had the guy that owned the building was great. And so at $1,200 a month, that's $14,400 a year. All right? Then say if you have taxes, if you own the place, property taxes, and I'm just guessing if it's $5,000 almost, I use $5,000, it's $416.66 a month. Then if you have liability insurance, say if it costs $100 a month average, which you said you can pay it quarterly or by the year, it's $1,200 a year. Personal disability insurance, if you had like an Aflac account for you getting injured where you couldn't work for a while because you're self-employed, are you going to be bringing in at least $140 a month to pay for that? $1,680 a year. Payroll services, this is if you have payroll like ADP, Paychex, and there's a couple other ones. We used ADP and Paychex for our salon because that's where my wife and her partner got their salaries through, and I can walk you through how all that works. You make your money. They pay your tax and health. If you got taxes for insurance, unemployment insurance and all that can be taken out through ADP and Paychex, okay? And there's a fee they charge you per month to do that. And I put monthly $720 because it's based on the payroll and how many checks are coming out. That seems a little high. I don't think I meant to put it at $720. because that's divided by 4 weeks. What's 720 divided by 4? I think that's a little high. That may I have to change that. Divided by 4, that's $180 a week. So I wouldn't say payroll service. It definitely is not going to be that much for people getting a weekly check. I think it's like $60 or something per week per payroll that comes out, and I think that's per check, something like that, on top of withholding. So, for example, you make $1,000, and if you made 1,000, all right, say you gross 1,000, just hypothetically, on that week, you made $1,000. Then say your tax, let's use 30%. That means $300 comes out minus 700. Then that means you only got $400. This is the way this works, people. You understand this, okay? So if you got $1,000, right? $1,000, like I said, and you got to pay. You got to pay times 0.30, 30% tax. So you got to pay 300 out of your 1,000. Then minus 1,000. Right? It's gonna be 700. Let's make this positive. You got $700 left. So that $300 in there is to pay your state tax and your federal tax and your unemployment insurance. Okay? State tax, unemployment insurance, and your federal tax. And I think you can set it up to have your city tax taken out. But like if you, like our business was in the township outside the city, so we didn't have to pay a city tax. Okay? And we didn't own the building, so we didn't have to pay that tax. All right? But in the payroll tax, that's how that works. But if you have an S Corp, you get a payroll tax, right? And bring this back up. If the taxes are $300, comes out of your check, guess what? The salon, the S Corp has to have a withholding of $300. So your total tax has to be $600. That means you have to have money, a surplus, in your account before you start taking paychecks. You see what I'm saying? Because $300 got to be held for the corporation. $300 comes out to goes for ADP and all that. Okay, that's just the way those things work, and there's no way of getting around it. We didn't like it. We didn't know. We called the accountant and said, "Hey man, what's wrong with this double like taxing we're getting?" We looked at the payroll thing we get, and he explained it. He said, "Oh man, got to tell you, that withholding, whatever's withheld has to be held double, has to be held for the business too." Here's the great thing about it. It's 100% write-off. See, that's what people does. All this tax stuff is a write-off. That's why big billionaire companies don't hardly pay tax at all. All the write-offs. That's the advantage of having a company. So I'm walking through. Let's keep going. So quarterly tax liability, and that would be part of this payroll services thing in your taxes. That's why I put 0 on that. But you look at these numbers add up. Janitorial services. Say if it costs you $800 a month, that's $200 a week for somebody to clean your place. Okay, and that's like a deep cleaning. Maybe you might have once a week somebody come and do a deep cleaning or something. Landscaping. Say if it costs you $50 a week to get your lot cut, and if you're responsible for it. Next one, snow removal, and I did this. I put April to October, so it's only 6 months, right? And that's $1,200. Then I got snow removal. I could change these numbers. No, it won't let me change them. I didn't think so because it's a PDF. Construction cost. This is if you finance your construction cost, okay? And you got a loan, and your construction cost was $18,000. You can see on the right for a year. No, you're paying $18,000. I'm saying your payment, and I think I did that over 5 years. So that 5-year loan, let's take this. Let's take $18,000, hypothetically, if you had $18,000 and take you 5 years times 5, you get a $90,000 loan, hypothetically, okay? So if you had to get a loan for the $90,000 and you're paying the $18,000 a year would pay it off in 5 years. So, and I'm saying you pay $1,500 a month, 5 years you pay it off. That's part of that. Construction cost. It's construction, that's what it is. Next one, window coverings. I'm saying if you did that, and just putting this budget in mind, and it costs you $600, for all of it. You look at it by month, it's $50 a month. Decorations, I said $15 a month, $180 a year. Internet service, if it was on $180 a month for high-speed internet, you got $21.60. Estimated water cost depends on what you're doing. If you got a salon, it's going to be probably double this or more. $1,800 a year and $150 a month. Estimated energy cost $450 a month. If you got a salon with a bunch of heaters and HVAC, you're going to be paying more than $5,400. Because in my studio is 2/3 of my home consumer bill. Just keep that in mind. And I'm just going to give you straight up. My consumer bill for this month is $602. Because I run HVAC in here, I run HVAC in our house, and I'm running like 20 amps in here all the time. And I'll get to that. I didn't know, that was one hiccup I had. I didn't know the energy usage I had. Security system, say $180 a month. Depends on if you got cameras and all that. That seems kind of high. But I know some people are paying quite a bit of money. I have mine through, oh man, what's the name of my company? Oh man, I can't think of the name of the company. But I pay $135 every 3 months. So if I get $135, this is what I pay a year. $135, and Paul LeBrec did mine. I think it's LeBrec. I think it's $135 times 4. So I'm paying $540 a year. You know, a lot of people are paying like $100 a month to Comcast. You know, they're paying twice what I pay. Okay, so you did that. Then say now, oh, here's your, I put equipment, like capital equipment. Yeah, this would be like computers, whatever. And say I got 5-year payoff for that. If it was $3,900 a year, this is another cost, right? Say if you had $3,900, and say you pay that in a year though. I put 5 years, I should have changed that. If you pay $325 a month and you pay, and it was $39, these are things I'm saying without using your own money. If you can get in without using your own money. Transportation, if you leased a vehicle or bought a vehicle and it cost you $6,000 a year, you're going to have that. So you pay it off. Furniture that you had to buy, if you had a salon, it's going to cost you much more than this if you need things like that. So it's $3,600 a year, and that could be, depends on what kind of furniture you need. Computers, I got two right here, $208. And for if you did a year, you'd have it paid off in 1 year. And then software, it costs you $360. Total capital expense, $16,359. Total building expenses for a year, $76,339. And let's go over here. Your yearly expenses, $92,699.98. $92,699.88. And say, remember I said your net income, I got down here. I said you brought in $4,000 a month starting out. You brought in $48,000 your first year total. All right. Say you didn't even take a payroll because you can afford to. Net $44,000. This is what's going to happen. Out of this $44,000, right? You're going to do your taxes and say, hypothetically, say if you still worked, okay? Let's say if you still had a job, all right? And your job was paying you $100,000 because say you're starting this business, but you're looking to go self-employed and you made $100,000, let's use $100,000. All right, you grossed $100,000 on your job, all right? And then suppose you're in the 33% tax bracket. Let's do that times 0.33. That means you pay $33,000 in federal and all your taxes, the $33,000 tax burden, minus your $100,000. Let's put that back. $100,000, $10,000. Oops, that went off. Is that $1 million? Oh, $100,000. Yeah. Hold on, man. I can't see. You're probably bigger. Okay, that's 10,000. Let me add one more zero. So you made 100,000 minus, what was it? 33,000? Uh-oh, man. 100,000 minus 33,000. What in the world is going on with my calculator, man? Let me clear this. So 100,000, you had to pay $33,000 minus 33,000. 33,000 equals. You netted $67,700. $67,000. So out of that, when you do all your deductions on a 1040, like a long form, whatever deductions you have, it's called your adjusted gross income, right? So your adjusted gross income is after everything like if you got a mortgage, the expenses you would deduct and all that. So I'm going to say you're just at 67,000, hypothetically, okay? 67,000, but you have a loss of $44,699. This is when you get a case schedule from your business, it's called, okay? Only reason I'm saying all these things because I've done it all for 30 years. My daughter's 35 for 35 years. Minus, you're going to take that loss, $44,699. $44,699. Boom. Okay, $22,301. That's your adjusted gross income. Now, you're only supposed to pay taxes on the $22,300. This is why people love business. This is why I love it. This is why it's billionaires going crazy. Now they go and buy yachts. And the stuff I showed you was legit things. But they'll go buy a yacht and say, oh, a new meeting space. And they buy a $5 million yacht and they write it off and they have parties on it. And they have a meeting on it for 4 or 8 hours. Then they have parties and they lease it out and make money on it all year long. Okay? But now, so you overpay taxes. You were in you're not in the 33% tax bracket anymore. Because your adjusted gross income is only $22,300, $301. Now, what you're going to do then on this, it's something called a 179 deduction. You could take this whole deduction only if your business, you can take the $44,000 deduction if you up to the point that you made the money, okay? But you made $48,000 in your company you brought in, but your expenses are $92,000. So this loss is negative on your income. So you take the loss you write off the difference, all right, and the rest gets expensed over 7 years. And I think for one time, when you first starting out, you get to write off the whole expense, okay? The whole expense. Janitorial services, yeah, all that counts too. But definitely your 179 stuff. So that puts you at a lower tax bracket and you get a huge tax return because remember, you paid $33,000 in taxes. But say if you only got $22,300, let's see what your tax would be now. Say that puts you at a 0.20% tax. You're only supposed to pay $44,60. And you paid $33,000 minus $33,000 equals $28,539. So you're going to get some big tax return. And I'm saying that only because if you can't write off the whole thing, you only can write off the amount of income that you brought in, which is the $48,000. So yeah, you should be good. You brought in $48,000, so you can write off up to the amount of money that you brought in. So you're good. You're going to get a huge tax return. Then what are you going to do with that? You can take that money and go pay off some stuff. Okay? You can go pay off some stuff or take it because your business is starting to make money. Go invest that. Okay. Now, I haven't done that good on some of this stuff starting out. Knowing what I know now, I had an issue with the power thing. It cost us money. I didn't know. I didn't estimate how much water. Let me get to it. In my spreadsheet. Let me get back to that. I did not do a good estimate. And this is not ours right here. It's when I really made this up. Our construction cost didn't cost us nothing per year. That's gone. So that wasn't a cost. We paid that, done with it. Janitorial services, we ended up doing that ourselves for a couple years. Landscaping, that wasn't our responsibility. That was the building owner. Except if the lawn, not the lawn, but the snowplower person got tied up, we would end up calling my father-in-law and we would pay him. And he took care of us though doing that. So there's a lot of things, I'm showing in here. I'll send you this. I'll send you the actual Excel spreadsheet. You can change this to whatever you want, but it's going to help you start your business and have better numbers when you go to the bank because I helped a friend of ours, and I mentioned this last night. They started a laundromat out here in Beecher, Mary McGee, and they had to have, I think whoever wanted to know, with all of their washers and dryers, at certain percentages, the money they would make by day, by week, by month, by year. And I built them a nice spreadsheet where they can just plug the numbers in. And then so the dryers were different loads, full load, 50-pound dryer, whatever, 30-pound, whatever, they were something like that. I set that all up. All I do is plug in numbers, and they got estimates, and they thanked me so much because that's exactly what they needed. And I've been doing this for so long. I did it at work with multi-million-dollar projects when I was an estimating project manager there. It's things that we were doing in construction. I was doing numbers like this since '93 and using all kinds of spreadsheets that were way more enormous. It wasn't just my project. It was multiple projects under one project. And we did some of them that were like $1 million. I mean, not 1 million, 10 million was the biggest one. Some were 3 million. Some I did one individually, it's like 3-point-something million. But we had projects together with me, with the pipe fitting, the HVAC, the welding, construction, and carpentry. And we had to do buildings because we built all our own buildings inside the plant. So anyway, that's why I understand that. But please, if this helps you at all, share it with somebody. DM me through Facebook or YouTube, and I can send you this Excel sheet that I made up. And all you gotta do is plug in numbers, and you can add things on there, change anything you want, and you will have a good estimate and a good thing to track with your own business. I'll get back to myself now and keep myself out of here. So this is gonna help you with your business. And that's why I wanted to come on and do this. It was kind of burdening me with all the things we have going on. A lot of self-employed people are getting hurt in the economy that we're in, and everything is going up. And there's a friend of mine, one of my clients, TM, wrote a song, "Going Up," Gaming's going up. So, I'm going to have to make some move myself because I have some fixed costs that are going up. And thankful for Dana Nessel. She's fought consumers. If you guys don't know, consumers wants to raise our energy rate. I think just the power, the electrical side, for some clean energy stuff. It might be gas too by like 9%. They already did 10% about 2 years ago, and she had blocked that. That got blocked like 2 years ago. So they end up blocked before that. Then I think 2 years ago they were allowed to do the 10% because they were investing all this clean energy, and then they want to add 19%. So that's almost 20% on top of what we used to pay like 6-8 years ago. And that hits your bottom line. So I know, because now every night when I go out of here, I used to keep my equipment on for 2 weeks at a time because I thought the surges were going to hurt all my electronics. And I got my AC running full tilt. I come in here, it's cool. It's 72 degrees, 71, 72 degrees in there all the time because my AC was on all the time. And the only reason I found out, there was a guy this was during COVID. So it was like 21, spring of 21. I think I had just been vaccinated. They were calling about solar power. And they had been calling us, man, okay, come on by. Me and the guy sit out on the deck, mask up. And he showed me, he asked me to pull a couple of my consumer bills. I talked about this a little bit before, but just to make this quick, he looks at my bills. He said, "You're using a lot of electricity." I said, "No, man, I don't use so much electricity." I said, "I got a studio, but it's only pulling like 6.5 amps, when I'm running. That's why I left everything on. 6.5 amps ain't nothing, you know what I mean?" So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm good, man. He said, "No, Mr. Seal, you're pulling a lot of power." So mind you, on this expense report, I'll jump to it right quick. And I'll jump to that, and I'm going to keep myself back in. On this report where it says, where is it? Electrical cost. I didn't put that in the property taxes. I said right here, energy costs, yeah. Which for me, down here, I don't need heat because my unit does all heat and electricity by the unit. I got a mini split unit. So my cost is about average. My house is about $450 a month. My studio uses, I didn't know until I measured it. I was pulling like 20 amps when I didn't know how to measure it correctly. You got to measure both hot leads coming in, and it totaled like 20 amps. So at 450, I found out I looked at my bill, I was using 33%. No, 66%, 0.66. $297 of that month, $297 a month of my power, of my energy usage is my studio times, that's I pay a month times 12. That's $3,564 a year I did not write off for when I was just down here, because I was in my studio running it. I mean, not my office running it for 10 years. I didn't write off my power. I got down here from 2010 to 2021. I didn't write off my power. I was losing a $3,564 deduction times, so 2010 to 21, yeah, that's 11 years. So take that times 11. $39,000 worth of deductions I missed. That's what I'm telling you guys. Please, hopefully, anybody that's on here, man, I can't see who all's on. I see just one person showing up now. But share this. I get my calculator out of here. If you have any questions, man, you can send me anything you have questions about that you want to ask. Now, if you're a female and you haven't heard about Boss Crown, go to my page, go to my wife's page, Benita Seal, or go to this other page that she's a part of, this organization called Gathering Friends to Give. If you have a startup business, this is the kind of stuff that their company wants to see. This is the kind of stuff, if you don't see it, they're going to teach you how to do it. And it's like, I don't teach those classes. They got professionals come in. Lisa Banks is one. She's a certified public accountant. She's a professor at Mott College. Luther Brown, who's in the finance, has a degree in that. She's giving all these people, Laura Sigmund, all these people to help you learn how to pitch for this $5,000 they're giving away to a for-profit, and $5,000 they're giving to a nonprofit, female business owner or startup. And when I say startup, what have you done to try to present your business to this company? So basically, I'm going to give you a shot in the arm. You watch my video, go to these free classes. They don't cost anything. They're at the Flint Public Library. If you sign up and get in, you're going to learn this stuff, learn how to figure it out. And then when you come to pitch, you're going to have some stuff to say. Even if you don't have the product, or you have the product and you're looking at a space to rent, all the stuff you need, transportation, all of these things are going to help you have a really good foothold on doing business going forward, whether you are female and compete as a nonprofit or for-profit business owner and Gathering Friends to Give pitch competition, or you're doing your own private business. Whew, that was a lot. All right, I'm done. I'm going to get off. And how long did that take me? I started, it's 10:07. I think I logged on about 9:03. So I wanted to do it in about an hour. So you guys, anybody that jumped on, man, I'm not going to come on and do consulting, but I will send you this for free. I don't want anything for it, man. Like I said, it took me probably an hour to figure it out, set it all up in a place. When you open it up in Excel, it'll be just like this. And, you'll be able to do it. So I'm using a newer version of Excel, I think. And you can open it on a PC or a Mac. And I think you can open it. You can open it in Google Sheets too, if you use that. So anyway, thank you. I'm going to sign off. And hey, give me a like or thumbs up or share this. If you think it'll help anybody on your page, anybody that's starting a business, anybody that wants to be a business owner, or they have a product that would sell, or if they have a product that's meeting a need. And I always used to do this. It's kind of silly. But, I remember going to Mississippi in the 60s, and my grandmother still had an outhouse. I was like, oh my God. And they didn't have running water. We had to go draw water from a well, man. I'm telling you, in the 60s, like 65, 67, 60. I remember this as a kid. Milking a cow, feeding the pigs, all of that. And I was like, oh my God. A toilet stool to them, if they've never been in one, besides going to the inner city, that would be like a miracle for running water and all of that. So the toilet was a great invention. It was. HVAC, having heating and cooling was a great invention. So anyway, refrigeration was a great invention. To have a refrigerator where you can store your stuff. So hey, God bless you guys. I'm signing off. You're a business owner. Be encouraged. Don't make the mistakes I made. Businesses fail because you don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. Businesses fail because you don't have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you are planning to fail and start over and over and over. Got to put a plan together. All right, take care. Guys, have a good night. Thanks so much for everybody who jumped on.